All right, so we're going to wrap up section 5.2 today, and we're going to start with the section here. We're on page 7, and we are going to multiply binomial radical expressions. Okay, when we talk about a binomial, we talk about two terms, and in Algebra 1, we might have taken 3 times the quantity x plus 2. So I'm taking a monomial term, or a single term, and I'm multiplying it times a binomial, where there's two terms in here. And so you recall that we would distribute here. We would take 3 times x, and we'd take 3 times 2, and we'd say our answer is 3x plus 6. Well, you're going to do the same thing up here. You have a single monomial term here. It is a radical. And then you have a binomial in parentheses here, separated by the two terms are separated by the subtraction sign. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to distribute that radical term. We're going to multiply it times both things inside the parentheses. So when I take the cubed root of 7 times 2, 2 is not under a radical, so I can't multiply the 2 and the 7. I can only say 2 cubed roots of 7. We always put the term without the radical in front and followed by the radical, but that is a product. And then I'm going to multiply this times this. Well, it's negative. This is a negative term times a positive term, so it's still going to be negative. And then if I take the cubed root of 7 times the cubed root of 49, well, that I can do. You recall when we multiply radicals, they're both cubed roots, and so we're going to have a cubed root in the end. And then I would be taking 7 times 49. Now, I'm not going to actually multiply that out. I would get a large number, and then I would have to turn around and factor it and see if anything simplifies anyway. So I'm not, instead of multiplying it out, I'm just going to leave it written as its factors, 7 times 49. And then I'm going to break 49 down into its factors of 7 times 7, and we have 7. So we actually have 3 7s under here. And since I'm finding cubed root, that's what I need. I need 3 7s. So this is going to be 2 cubed root of 7 minus 7. And I cannot subtract those because I have a radical in this term and I do not have one here. So these are not like radicals. So we leave our answer just like that. Okay, I'm going to slide down here to B because it's very similar to A. We have a monomial term out here and we have a binomial in parentheses. So we are going to distribute. So I would get square root of 6 times 5. 5 is not under a radical, so I can't multiply the 6 times the 5. So I'm just going to write this as 5 square root of 6. And then I'm going to take the square root of 6 times the square root of 3. Now both of these are under the radical, so we can multiply those and say plus. It's going to be positive because that's a positive times a positive. So it would be plus the square root of 18. Square root of 6, 6's factors are just 2 times 3, so nothing comes out. So that's going to be 5 square root of 6. Now with 18, we can simplify that. 18 is going to factor into 9 times 2. And 9 is going to factor into 3 times 3. So a pair of 3's is going to come out. I'm actually going to move this term down. So it's going to be 5 square root of 6. And then a 3 is going to come out. So it would be plus 3. And then I'd leave the 2 underneath the radical. And we cannot add these two terms together because they don't have like radicands. So we just leave our answer like that. Okay, now let's go look at example B here. This is a binomial. These are two terms here. And these are two terms here. So this is a binomial times a binomial. I mean, hopefully you hear that. If I were to ask you to multiply x plus 2 times, let's just do x minus 4. Okay, this is a binomial. There's two terms here times a binomial. Well, we would FOIL that. And we worked on that earlier this year. We'd go ahead and we'd FOIL, and we'd take first term times first term. We'd look at the outside product. We'd look at the inside product, and we'd take the last term times the last term. And most of the time, the outside and the inside terms would be like terms, and we would combine those, and we would say x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay, well, we're going to do the same thing here. We have a binomial times a binomial. So I'm going to take the first term times the first term, 2x times 2x, and get 4x squared. I'm going to take the outside product here. I'm going to take the 2x times the square root of 3. And this is a negative square root of 3, so it's going to be a negative. Now, this is not under a radical, and this is. So we just write our product as 2x square root of 3. When I look at the inside product here, that's a negative square root of 3 times the 2x. It's a negative 2x square root of 3. And then I'm going to take my last term times my last term. A negative times a negative is positive. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9. And now we're going to simplify. 4x squared, that doesn't simplify. There's nothing I can do with that. But I've got like radicals here. They're both square roots of 3. So negative 2x minus 2x would be a negative 4x square root of 3. And then the square root of 9 is 3. Is there anything that's a like term that you could combine? And the answer is no. We just leave our answer just like that. Okay, and then the last example here, C. Again, I have a binomial. There's two terms there. And I'm taking it times another binomial. So it's a binomial times a binomial, so I'm going to FOIL. First term times first term is x squared. Outside product is a positive x square root of 10. Inside product is a negative square root of 10 times x, so that's going to be a negative x square root of 10. Last term times last term is a negative, because it's a negative times a positive, so it's a negative square root of 100. Both of these are under the radical, so I can multiply those. Okay, let's simplify. We have an x squared. A positive x squared of 10 minus x squared of 10. Those are opposites of each other. Those are going to cancel each other out and give you 0. And then minus the square root of 100 is 10. So my answer is x squared minus 10. Okay, our textbook assignment today is going to be page 253, and we're going to be working on questions 41 through 48. And I recommend that after seeing these 4 problems that you go ahead and you try the first 4 problems. 41, 42, 43, and 44 are just like these examples. So I would get my textbook out or go on my computer, look up my textbook, go to page 253, and I would do the first 4 questions of that textbook assignment. When you're done with those, then we can come back and watch the second video, and you'll be able to finish out that assignment.